Today we're going to be learning about the artist Wayne Thiebaud. He is an American artist and he's known for his brightly colored foods. So items in food that you might find in different places like bakeries or your favorite desserts or different things like that. So we've already learned and watched this video here about shape, and we also watched a little clip about Wayne Thiebaud here and how his paintings look as if they've been frosted. So he really uses this amazing technique of really thickly piling on the paint on his drawings and paintings the way you would actually look and see it in person as if it was real, where you could just take your finger and wipe off the frosting and eat it like on a piece of cake. So Wayne Thiebaud was born in 1920. And he is actually, as of right now in March of 2021, he is 100 years old. So I know some of the Sacramento is going to be celebrating him this month in his artworks and so forth for one of their art museums. Here are just some examples of his artwork. He's inspired by lots of things around him. And as you can see, artists, you don't have to have one subject that you're passionate about and be the same as everybody else. Initially, what we learned about him was he walked miles and miles and went to every gallery, which is what you used to have to do in order to get your art shown to the world, was you'd have to go to these art galleries and make sure that that person liked your work and hang it up and try to sell it that way. And nobody would take his until this one person believed in him and looked at it and said, wow, this is really different. This is fun and unique. And he put it up, and they sold every single painting as soon as he got him put up that art show night. So looking at some of these paintings, as you can see, you can really see the detail, and he follows the curves, and he uses a lot of shape. So when we're looking at what we're going to be drawing today, we're going to really look at using shape. And we're also going to be using the space on our paper. And what I mean by that is we're going to be using not just drawing one little cake in the middle and having all this white space to color. I want you to use your paper, and we're going to fill it with a replica of his gumball machine that he created. And we're also going to add in lots of texture. So when you look at his art pieces, you can see all the texture and the movement of the paint, and it makes it look yummy and like you want to eat it, right? So let's look at his three machines. He did this in 1963. And like I was telling you about, we're going to do shape. So when you look at this, you can actually see the circle, right? You see a circle, you might find another circle. All the gumballs are circles. And then you have some other shapes that get in there. And texture. Texture is what we feel. And if you're looking at this, wanting to touch it, you can feel that texture. Or maybe you feel like you can hold that ball. And when we talk about space, look at how does he use space on this page? Can you see that he put the three gumball machines in the middle? And what are they on? They look like they're on a ledge, right? Or a shelf. So you can look at and see how he's using his piece of paper. They're not floating. They're not huge. They're not small. They're kind of in the middle. But it makes it interesting to look at. So sometimes some artists might have half of it on there, where it's so big that it won't even fit on the piece of paper. And that makes it interesting to look at too. And that's using space. So because we're looking at gumballs, I want to ask you, how do you feel when we think about gumballs? Do you like gum? Do you have a favorite flavor? Have you ever gotten a gum out of a gumball machine? Where you stick the quarter in and you turn it and out pops the gumball? Is it soft to chew? Is it hard? Is it easy, to fit in your mouth, or is it huge? So all of these things, when you look at his art, makes you think of memories, things that you've experienced. Sometimes when you look at his paintings, you see cakes and it makes you think of a birthday, or it makes you think of your friend's favorite dessert that they love, or your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa. So here's an image of Wayne Thiebaud, and today we're going to be creating our own gumball machine. And we're going to use shapes, and we're going to use texture, and we're going to use the space of our entire piece of paper. So let's get started. For this project, we're going to be using a paper plate to draw a circle template. So you can use a plate or bowl, something that you have near you. In class, I have just extra paper plates. They're small ones that we're going to use as a tracer. So to use the space of our 9 by 12 piece of paper, what you're going to do is hold down the plate, probably near the top, not very, very at the top, but not in the middle of our paper either. And you're going to trace around it. So you can see I'm holding it down, I'm tracing around the plate. And this way, even if it's not perfect and a exact circle, that's fine too. So the next thing we're going to do is draw the sides. Now I'm using a ruler. You can either just draw it, or you can also use a folder near you and different things as well. Ooh, before I forget. So here I'm using my plate and I just slid it down a little bit to draw a curve. And that just helps me with this next part. Now what I'm going to have you do is we're going to draw the sides of our gumball machine. So using my ruler, I'm just doing a little bit of an angle, but I'm leaving some space at the bottom so I could curve it in. You don't have to go to the end of that circle or half curve that you did. You can make it as wide as you want or as narrow, and just to erase any of the pencil marks if you need. So here, I'm not going to use my plate. I'm just going to draw it. So just connect the bottom half with doing a little bit of a smile. So that kind of a curve. And then on each side, do a little bit of a rainbow curve. And now connect it. So here I've got the start of my gumball machine. I have the glass ball on top. I have the stand. And I'm going to keep following these steps. Erase any of the marks if you need to as well. What I'm going to do next is now, this is the coin part and where you would put your money in. So here I'm going to do a circle, and then I'm going to do a tiny little one, and this is the turn knob. So draw a line up on each side, and now I'm going to do a little line on an angle down and connect it to that small circle you did. So this is what you usually would turn once you put your money in it. And here, if you want, you can use a ruler and make a square, or you can just draw it. If you feel like you don't want to have a square shape and make it exact, you can, change up the shape a little bit, make it your own style. You can even write the number 25 inside if you want it to be 25 cents. And then here, we're going to make where the gumball comes out. So I placed a little dot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the bottom and I'm going to curve it down on each side. And I'm going to come back up and around and make it a little bit thicker. So this is where your gumball would come out. All right, now at the top, this is the lid that would, come on. So I'm going to do a rainbow on the top and do a smaller one on that. And if you have room, there's a little tiny ball on top. But if you don't, that's okay too. Now you can then draw a straight line down in the middle, and I did two of them, so it looks like the gumball, like the machine top that helps spin it, so then the balls can come through. Inside, we're going to be drawing circles for our gumballs. And we're going to practice something called overlapping. So here you saw I do one shape, and like here, I'll practice again. I'm going to draw a circle and another circle, but now I want to show a circle that's behind it. So I'm going to draw the lines, but not draw the whole circle. So you can make a bubble like here. I'm just doing a rainbow, and it looks like a gumball's behind it. You can keep practicing by, drawing part of the circle and rainbows behind other ones, but go in and add regular circles and then some ones that you're missing parts of it. I want you to try to fill up the inside of this gumball as much as you can with circles. So remember, start with a circle, and then you can have another one hiding behind it, or next to it, or even in between. Now that you've filled up your gumball machine with as many gumballs as you would like, what we're going to think about is we want our gumball machine to be sitting on something. We don't want it to be floating. So this is where we usually draw a horizon line, something that shows us what is the sky and what is the ground. So I'm going to draw just a straight line, and now it looks like my gumball is sitting, or machine is now sitting on something. The next thing I want you to do is we're going to be using crayons and markers today. Go ahead and just trace around your different gumballs with markers first, and then we're going to go in and fill them in with crayon. So here you can see I took out crayon and I'm filling in the different shapes and shades. You can make it as many colors as you want, or even certain colors. If you have a favorite team or rainbows, whatever you would like. I'm also going to go in and fill the back of it with the green. One thing that I wanted to show you is the reason we are using markers and crayons is they show up differently and work together. Sometimes, if you don't have markers and you just have crayons, what you can do is push really hard around the edges or the shape that you're doing, and then you could fill it in a little bit lightly. And this actually helps you with coloring in and staying inside the lines. So once you've done that first of the glass ball part that and filled it in and colored it, I want you to take one of your markers, a darker color. It could be red, blue, black, purple, whatever you're feeling. And I want you to trace over your pencil lines. You don't need to use a ruler for this. Just try to, one hand holds your paper and the other hand just slowly goes around. This is a really good skill for you to practice too. So I'm going to show you. Now I outlined in marker here, but I also want to show you the trick of using it with your crayons. So, using my crayon, the reason I like us to practice with the different mediums is you can use crayon in so many different ways. It's very similar to a color pencil. It's not as, flexible and different things that a color pencil allows you to do with building on color and really making something smooth. But it gives you a way of being able to push down hard and make a color darker. And then it also lets you make it medium or lighter. And it does do a great job of filling in where you don't have to worry about things um, not, we're running out of ink like your markers can dry out. And a crayon just doesn't dry out. So here, my trick is I outlined around that square part. And now as I'm going with my crayon, it stops my crayon from going in. It does a really great job of helping me with staying inside the lines. And you can see as I'm coloring, I'm going up and down. So when you're using your crayon today or a marker, if you're starting in one direction, you could do bigger strokes, you could do smaller strokes, but try to keep your coloring in the same direction, and that'll make something look really complete. So when I'm going up and down, it makes something look taller. If you color left to right and going, horizontal, it's going to make something look wider. So your strokes add in different textures. And also, the darkness makes things, even better too. So I went around the edges and I actually went a little darker with my crayon, and you can see that it really changed it. And I wanted to show you what happens when I change the direction of my crayon. So see if you can see the difference in my drawing.